Do my hair while we do some intros. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a cup of coffee while I get a head massage apparently. Or a new hairdo. And a kiss? Thank you. Okay, so to start, I'm just going to go through my materials. I have my B watercolor paper today, my Winsor Cotman watercolors, I have my Princeton snap brushes in a size 12 and a size 6, my water, my paper towel, and we're ready to go. So as it's getting a little bit chillier out there for some of us, it's really great to have a nice hot cup of coffee or a latte or chocolate, hot chocolate. So as per request by someone, we're going to be painting a cup of coffee today. We're going to be painting it from the view from the top down. Okay, so what you're going to need for this is something circular. So I'm just going to take all my paintbrushes out of my jar and I'm going to use this jar. Okay, so whatever you have that's circular around your house, go and grab that. And you're going to need a pencil. And so I'm just going to lightly trace this circle like that, and that is going to be, there's sparkles in it for some reason, the inside of our cup of coffee. Okay, and then you are going to do another circle around that circle, which is going to be kind of the top of the cup. So this is where the coffee is going to go, and you're just going to try and do another circle about 1 centimeter in width across around. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's my motto, guys. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's what I love about art. Unless you're doing photorealism, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So there we go. And that's the inside of the cup. And then you are going to, if you want to draw this part, you're just going to do another kind of like really light guide, half circle around, because you're going to kind of see a shadow on the top of the cup on the inside. Do I have my cup of coffee here to show you? Let's actually look at my cup of coffee. Let's see if I can get it right under the camera. Okay? So we have that circle, the inside where the coffee is. Then we have this extra white-ish area. Then we're gonna have a highlighted extra circle ring and then a really dark, tiny ring around the top. Okay, and then we'll have some highlights in there as well. So if you want, look at your actual cup of coffee while doing this, okay? To see where those shadows and stuff may lie. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side so I don't spill it everywhere. And then I'm gonna take my eraser and I'm just gonna gently erase, just because those are guidelines. I don't really want my pencil marks in it, but just gently erase so you can see. And we'll start with the coffee first. So like always, I start with a light wash. I'm gonna use my burnt umber color and I might mix it with some black after, but I'm just gonna start with a light wash. So always start lighter and then add some darkness later. So fill in that first circle as best you can. Trying to keep that same amount of wetness for the whole way around. Okay, so just go over the whole thing and try and keep it evenly wet. Okay. And then we're gonna have some shadow along one side. So we will darken it up. But first, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create, we're gonna have a couple bubbles. Okay, like it's just freshly poured. So they will be light, so it will need to be, it'll be light around it, so we'll do darkness after. Okay, so actually what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna let this completely dry, and then we're gonna do a second layer over top. Okay, so now it's completely dry. If it sounds like I don't really know what I'm doing, it's because I don't. I actually haven't painted this before. But I want some bubbles. So if I'm thinking the bubbles are gonna be darker and then the foam around it is kind of lighter. So I'm just gonna leave this light space around it. I'm gonna leave the area for the kind of light foam. Like this. And then I'm gonna, again, fill in this whole area with a bit more darkness. Okay. So we're doing our second layer, but we want that light first layer to be there for the foam kind of around the bubbles. And also you can make it lighter or darker depending on what kind of coffee you drink, right? Maybe you drink it black, I drink it black. Maybe you have lots of milk and sugar or cream. My husband's a big fan of the creamer. Okay, and then you're gonna just draw with this darker bit some little bubbles, okay? We will go back in after and make it darker. So now decide on how dark you want your coffee. I think I'm gonna go darker. I'm gonna mix some of my brown and my black. That's a bit too black. It's all good. I'm just gonna move it around. I'm gonna put that color where those bubbles are too. Might actually lift up some of that color, just soaking it up with a dry brush so it's not as dark. Like that. Okay. So I am gonna make one side of the coffee a bit darker because there's gonna be more of a shadow on this side. So I'm just gonna tap some of this dark brown black over here. Like there's kind of like a shadow from the cup, so I'm making it kind of a smooth line. Not completely smooth, obviously, because it's wet on wet and it will kind of blend out. Just kind of in that direction of like a crescent moon, like that, if that makes sense. Okay. And I might actually darken up this foamy area after too, once everything's dry, just because it looks a little light. But yeah, we're gonna dry that first, okay? Okay, so now that it's completely dry, I'm just gonna make this foamy area a little bit darker. So I'm just taking a light wash. Let's see. I'm just gonna go over that area just to make it a little darker. It's a little too light. Now, if your bubbles kind of like the color picks up and smudges a bit, that could mean that you're using lower quality paint or paper, because that will happen. So just keep that in mind. Just gonna darken up that bubble. Okay. Okay. So our coffee part is done, and now we're gonna do the cup. So decide on kind of what the color of your cup is gonna be, because that will dictate the color of the ring. I think we are going to go for like a navy, like an indigo. So I'm gonna take my indigo, just gonna put it over here for a bit, And I'm going to try my best to trace that line where we made that outer circle. Okay, and if you have to turn around your paper, do it. If you want to find something circular and then like paint around it like that, like if you're just having a hard time drawing that circle, by all means, do whatever you need to do. I'm not worrying too much about making it absolutely perfectly circular. Like honestly, it is what it is. Like I can already tell you it's not perfectly circular. I might make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Okay, like so. Okay, so there's the ring around the cup, and now we need to work in some shadows. So this under here is going to be a bit more highlighted, so any kind of little bit of shadow is going to be really, really light. I'm just going to mix up whatever colors I have in here just to get a really light shadowy color. There was some indigo, there was a bit of black and brown, but together it kind of makes this gray, and it's great for a shadow. So I'm just going to, excuse me, put a really, really light wash on this side, like super light, where you can almost barely see it. Okay, and then I'm gonna go a bit darker. And remember that line we drew over here? I'm just gonna go around. Okay. Might even let that bleed a little. Okay. Might let that blue bleed in because it kind of looks like a reflection a bit into the shadow. I'm gonna make it a bit darker with some Payne's gray. Just gonna blend it with some clean water, like that. Again, dropping a bit more darker Payne's gray in there to get more of a sharper line for that shadow. Okay, like that. Like that. And now I'm also kind of looking at the coffee, and it really depends on your style, but it looks a little flat to me. It's just kind of like one wash, which is great in a lot of senses, but I kind of want a bit more texture to the coffee, if that makes sense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to re-wet the whole brown area. Okay. I'm gonna re-wet this area, and I kind of want it to dry a bit unevenly. So, and do some of those kind of watercolor blooms. I don't know if I can still achieve it this late, but I'm gonna try. So I'm just gonna drop some brown and black in there. I'm gonna drop a bit of water in there. See if it dries differently. Okay. Some darker bits. And it's all about your preference. If you like it flat, totally go for it. I mean, realistically, there's not really much texture to a plain coffee. So it's really up to you. Okay. Okay, and then we'll let it dry. What can also be fun, I mean, if you want to draw a handle, you can do that too. Actually, you know what? Let's give it a try and draw a handle. So it will be from the top view. So we're going to take that same kind of navy color, the indigo, and we're just going to paint a handle. Okay, light wash, because we're going to have a highlight on that handle. Okay, just kind of looking at my handle here. See if we can get it a similar shape. It's right from top down. You might be able to see. Oops. It's a bit more, there we go, square. And then I am going to go back in with some dark navy along the edge of the handle, so you get that nice highlight in the middle. Okay? And if you feel like you need to go around the edge of the coffee mug again to make it darker, you can do that. But there you go, there's your handle. And then once we wait for this to dry, we are going to do some cool kind of wet splashes around it too, okay? Okay, so now that it's all dry, we're gonna do some fun kind of watercolor splashes around the edges, like around the cup. Okay, so now you're gonna try to decide what kind of color you want for that. I think I'm gonna go for like a rusty orange. So I'm just gonna move some of my burnt umber over to this orange area, because I think the orange will look really nice with that navy cup. Okay, and then the brown kind of for the coffee. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is a really light wash of that, and I'm just going to go around the cup, and then I'm just gonna drag some of this water out, and then just add more water. You don't have to do it around the whole cup if you don't want to, but you're just gonna add more water so you don't really see the color just yet, especially closer to the edge, like the outer parts. So you don't really want that sharp water edge. Okay, we're gonna do some wet on wet by adding some color after. So grab your water. I just put a little bit of a tint to the color so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. But this is where those like blooms that we usually don't intend to do will come in handy and actually kind of make this piece more interesting to look at. So now you can go back in with your color and just start dropping it in different spots on that wet area that you just did. You can even do, oops, some fun little splashes. We're putting that, oopsie, that wasn't fully dry. It's all good. But we're putting the color mostly around the coffee cup. And so as it comes out, it's gonna fade more. Does that make sense? I might actually just put some bright brown in it, so it's like coffee. Okay, and you can always tilt it, make that water run. Now, if you can tell, my paper is pretty warped. Once it's fully dry, you might want to lay it under some books to make it flat. There's also a way you can do it too. I might do a video trying it out because I've never actually done it before. we go. Okay, so while that's drying a bit more, actually I might move some of this around. While that's drying, we're just gonna do a little bit of highlight on those bubbles to make them a bit more realistic looking. So I'm gonna take my white ink, which is right somewhere. The heck? Where are you? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're gonna take some white ink. I have Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And we are just going to take the littlest bit on the tip of our brush, and we're gonna put a small little line at the tip of those bubbles. Okay, it just makes it look a bit more realistic. Like that. So if you don't have this ink, you can always use a white ink pen or gouache or white watercolor, okay? And there you go. Okay, so I'm just gonna come back right when it's all dry so you can see the finished product. And there you go. There is your coffee painting. So you can always add some lettering on it. You can frame it. No. And there is your coffee painting.
Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Mommy's done with this. No more.